You could have a rare and extremely valuable Lincoln penny. Today we're looking at the 1974 penny and why these coins can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars in some cases. Now first up, don't forget you can also look for all of these errors on other dated coins as well. We're just focusing here on what some 1974 pennies have sold for with different types of errors and showing you guys what you can look for on your coins or coins from the bank. Now this first coin has been Broadstruck. The coin sold for $64 at auction. Of course, the condition, which is the grade, can always affect a coin's value as well. So keep that in mind. The higher the grade, typically the more money you can get from the coin. All right, now this coin here has also been Broadstruck. It's a little more extreme, I would say. This coin sold for around $70 at auction, graded at a 63 red. You can see that around the rim of the coin. Pretty obvious mint error there. Kind of like this next coin. It's not obvious on the reverse, but as we flip the coin over, you can see a large brockage here on the obverse of the Lincoln penny. 1974 D penny here sold for $120. Moving right along to a 1974 D mint mark Denver minted Lincoln cent that has been double struck. Pretty obvious error here. We're not finding these coins in coin rolls, but this coin did sell for $63 at auction. Here's a different example of a double strike graded at a mint state 60. It's actually 3 grades lower, but this coin here sold for a little over $100. Moving on to another double strike here. This coin, or actually both of these coins, sold together for over $100, so about $50 per coin. We got a 1975 and a 1974 double strike there, both sold together as a lot for $101. Moving on here to a defective planchet, something that could easily be passed up. I'm sure it has been passed up many of times by people over the years just because people would probably assume this is damage. However, it is a genuine mint error, and that's why this penny sold for around $120. Next up is another defective planchet. Looks a little bit different. You can see straight through the coin there, obviously. This coin sold for $216 at auction. Not too bad for a 1974 penny. Free silver coin giveaways every Tuesday and Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, only on the Whatnot app. No catch, guys. Free silver giveaways. Plus, you get the $15 credit to spend on the Whatnot app. You can purchase any product from any seller and use your $15 credit today. Download the Whatnot app at the link in the comments below or scan the QR code on the screen. Next up is a 1974 S mint mark San Francisco minted Lincoln cent. This penny here has a die adjustment strike, and the obverse of the coin, the front of the penny, has been struck through. So a strike through error, a die adjustment strike error. This coin sold for $114. Moving on to a die break taking place on the 1974 Philadelphia minted Lincoln penny. You see that little extra blob of metal there at the bottom of the coin. That is a cud or a die break. This coin sold for $25. Now, this next coin here will sell for more because it's a much larger die break. This coin sold for $35, and you can see that there on the left side of the coin going through the word Liberty. Now, let's keep moving on here. This coin sold for around $40 at auction. A little bit larger die break here at the bottom of the coin. So always pay attention to your coins. This could also happen on nickels, dimes, quarters, and so on, not just pennies. Now, some of these can get pretty valuable. This coin here sold for $109 at auction, but it's graded at a 65 brown. You know, had this been like a 65 red or a mint state 67, it could have sold for a few $100s or even more. It just depends on when you sell the coin, how large that die break is, the condition or the grade of the coin. All of those things will affect the value. So over $100 for that penny. Next up is a 1974 Lincoln penny that has been struck through a capped die. So it will look completely normal on the reverse, but on the obverse of the coin, you can see it looks distorted as a result of that capped die strike. So this coin sold for $65. Now here's another capped die. Can't really read the date much on this one, but it is a 1974 Denver minted Lincoln cent that sold for $74 at auction. Not too bad. Here's another die break. Now this one here is pretty interesting because it sold for $9,000 at auction. Now we see that large die break there on the obverse reverse of the coin. Now again, a die break could take up like half of the coin or a third of the coin. It could be very large. This one isn't the largest, out there, but it's definitely not the smallest either. But what makes this coin really valuable is a piece of die is retained here into the reverse of the coin. So that is what gives this coin an extreme amount of value. It's a very, very unique error for something like this to happen and to get out into circulation. That's why the coin sold for $9,000. Next up is a couple errors taking place on a 1974 penny. First, we have a partial collar, which you can see around the rim of the coin. And then we also have that obvious Obverse brockage. So pretty obvious mint error there. This coin sold for a little over $300. Next up, 1974 S Lincoln penny with the misaligned Obverse die. So again, you can see that around the rim of the coin. Misalignments, will sometimes get mistaken for, off-center errors. They look pretty similar in some cases, especially if you have a coin that's only struck, 5% off-center. So some people do get confused on those, but this coin did sell for $144. Next up is a coin that has been broad-struck and multi-struck. Pretty obvious mint error here. This kind of speaks for itself. This coin sold for $276. Here's another mint error penny that kind of speaks for itself. The coin was struck 40% off-center. You don't need a coin microscope or a coin loop or anything to inspect a coin like this. This coin sold for $55 at auction. Here's another off-center error that sold for $144 at auction. Struck 10% off center. That one looks pretty cool. But if you guys do need a coin microscope, coin loop to look at errors up close, feel free to hit the link in the comments below. Now here is a very rare penny as well. This coin sold for over $1,300. $1,300 coin here because we have a 1974 Lincoln cent design that was overstruck onto a 1974 Roosevelt dime. So that is a double denomination, one of the rarest mint errors you could possibly have. Over $1,300 for that coin. Now we have a coin that sold for over $19,000. This Lincoln cent design has been accidentally struck onto a Philippines 1 cent planchet or 1 centimos planchet. So it is an aluminum coin, not a copper, mostly copper coin that would be in 1974. You would have a 3.1 gram, mostly copper penny for 1974. This is struck onto a foreign planchet from the Philippines. So that's why it sold for over 19 grand. Next up is a split planchet. This coin here ended up selling for around $40 at auction. Not super valuable, but still something to always look for. Here's something else you can look for. Again, they're typically not super valuable. It is a partial collar, which you can see around the rim of the coin. It kind of looks, a little thicker than a typical rim of a Lincoln cent. This coin sold for $53 at auction. So if you guys have any coin jars laying around, check out the rest of my videos. You can also go to the bank and get rolls of coins because we show you in those videos everything to look for on quarters, nickels, dimes, half dollars, dollars, and so on, pennies, of course. So feel free to check out the rest of the videos here on the channel, and don't forget to hit the whatnot link, guys, in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe in the middle. Feel free to check out the videos to the left of me, and until tomorrow, I'll see you guys in the comment section below. This is Couch Collectibles, and this is where I disappear.